Hello everybody, good morning, welcome to the United Stand. How are you all feeling this morning? We've got comments from Ruben Amorim and the fallout of last night ahead of a big game on Wednesday. And look, I think the thing I would say is that Ruben Amorim said at the end of the game, it's helped him a lot to choose the starting 11 for the final. What would your starting 11 for the final be now, based on what you know about United? Let us know in the chat, because I think there's a few things I certainly want to hit head on. You know, obviously there's been a pile on certain players, but we'll come to that. What I want to talk about, having read your comments yesterday, last night, and been on social media, is the volume of Amorim outers again. And I have to say this question: what did you expect from a Chelsea game? If we'd beat Chelsea, you'd been Amorim in. If we lose 1-0 to Chelsea, you're Amorim out. Have a word. What as a result against Chelsea in a meaningless game where we lose by 1-0 got to do with you deciding whether you're Amorim in or Amorim out? This is like going on a date with somebody you really like, but then afterwards saying to your mates, I'm not going to see them again because they were miserable because their cat died. I mean, we're going to reconvene. We're going to come back when Amorim actually has been given the time to do what needs to be done. You're judging him on something he warned you about. He told you he didn't want the job in November, he wanted it in the summer. He told you we would suffer. And still, we've got you, pundits, journalists, judging Ruben Amorim on a state of play that we knew when we sacked Ten Hag. We do not have the profile of player to be Manchester United players. Roy Keane spoke about it yesterday. We've lost too many games last season. We've lost too many games this season. But by and large, it's the same set of players. And yet, people are literally screaming Amorim out. And I find it absolutely incredible that people would waste their time on that. Like, what happens if we win on Wednesday? What happens if after pre-season next season we come back and play well? What will the mentality of the Amorim outers be? I actually told you, even though I was Amorim out, what I actually meant was, you've got to give him the summer and a transfer window, and then I might be Amorim in again. It's illogical. It's anger, it's frustration, but there's also people out there who just don't project their opinions very well with any level of intelligence, because nobody can tell me that Amorim's not going to work. Nobody can tell me that we need to sack Ruben Amorim. In fact, I think it would be one of the most stupidest things we've ever done to bring a manager in November, which was ill-advised, and then sack him before he's even had a pre-season and transfers. It'd basically be Rangnick all over again, and it's universally accepted that getting rid of Rangnick was one of the worst things we've done in the last decade. It literally would be the same thing. The echoes with Amorim, with Rangnick, are just so similar. And Rangnick didn't have a Europa League final, which I think we should be focused on. I really, really do. And I think that when I don't mind emotion, and I don't mind opinion, and I don't think any of you mind people having different opinions to you, but what we crave is logic. And last night, when Amorim picked that team, a lot of people were saying he should have picked the reserves. We lose 1-0 to Chelsea, and people are going, Amorim out. And actually, you can't say, well, I'm Amorim out because he picked a stronger team. I think the team he picked was the right team. We didn't pick up any injuries. He said there are no fitness concerns at all. So most of the people that are going to play on Wednesday have actually played a game 5 days before instead of 9 days before. The risk worked, and we lost 1-0 to a Chelsea side that are going to get Champions League football and finish in the top 5, and we lost 1-0 at Stamford Bridge. And we can talk about everything we need to do, and we've got a bloody mountain to climb, but Chelsea aren't that much better than us. And what are they missing? Nicholas Jackson? I mean, come on. That's pretty much Chelsea's best side. Yeah, they need a striker. Yeah, they need a goalkeeper. But that's Chelsea at Stamford Bridge desperately trying to win, and we lose 1-0 because we don't create anything, and we give up the back post again. So, look, a loss is a loss. I'm not taking any positives, but context is key. And also, whilst I agree with Amorim that taking the job now, taking the job in November was not as good as taking the job in the summer, there is still positives to be found. We're in a Europa League final. If we win it, then we've got Champions League football and more money. Would we have won the Europa League final if we'd have gone with Van Nistelrooy? Absolutely not, as an interim. If we'd kept Ten Hag, I don't think so. So, Yeah, I think Ineos have stumbled on the right decision, but I think it probably was the right decision. It's just destroyed. It might just destroy Amorim in the long term because the patience won't be there of if he took the job in the summer, and that's why most managers don't want to take it. But on top of that, if he hadn't took the job till the summer, we'd probably still have Rashford, Anthony, Sancho starting the season with us because he'd have to assess them. At least he's assessed them and he knows them now. So look, I just don't understand the Amorim stuff at all. What he did say after the game, and I have to say this, he said after the game about Rasmus, who got absolute pelters yesterday and didn't have a good game. He said he fights for every ball, he loses duels, he wins duels, he needs to improve the connection, he's improving, I'm really happy with him, he just needs to continue to work hard. Now this has caused a meltdown in the fan base on social media last night, and again, I sort of look at it and go, what are people expecting? You know, it's exam season in the UK at the moment. You've got A-levels, GCSEs, good luck, anybody's doing exams at the moment. If you've got a child that's doing exams and, you know, the night before their exams, you know they probably haven't done that much study and you go, you're going to fail them all because you're not clever enough. Or do you go, you know what, keep putting the work in, do your best, that's all that matters. What's good parenting? The one who says, you know, you're not good enough and you're going to fail, or the one who goes, you just got to work hard, keep working hard and do your best? Literally, Amorim is just saying to his players, with a big game coming up on Wednesday, I'm happy with the players, they're working hard, they've got to continue to work hard, there's mistakes, there's positives. You know, and there's people going, that's it, I'm finished with Amorim now, he can go. I mean, what do you expect him to say 5 days before the final about his only striker? Yeah, he's absolutely rubbish, his confidence on the floor, I'd rather put McGran up front, and we're in big trouble on Wednesday. It's almost like people don't actually think what should be said in that situation. You can't be saying what people want to say. And actually, you know what? Maybe he does think that. But as I've said, when it comes to Rasmus, when it comes to Onana, that's for the Amorim to decide anyway, not for you to decide, not for me to decide. We can project our opinions, but ultimately the manager is in charge, and he certainly has to get the best out of what he's got in the next 5 days, because he ain't getting any signings, is he? And he might not be getting any players back fit, certainly that can play in the positions that we might want to change. So I don't get the Amorim stuff at all. It's just, I suppose it's just, as we've said before, I think we live in a world now where people don't support the team, they support a set of circumstances. They'll support Man United, but only if certain players that they like are playing and certain players that they don't like aren't playing, and it's niche support. Whereas for me, let me know in the chat, but for me, I just want Man United to win. That first and foremost, I've never supported a player over Manchester United, and never will. I support Manchester United, and I don't care what the winner is on Wednesday. It doesn't matter to me if it's a player that's liked or a player that we're selling in this. I don't care if Christian Eriksen scores a worldie. I'm not going to keep him. He's still going on a free, but we win. So, yeah. And I also found it interesting what Roy Keane said last night, actually, after the game. He was talking about Rasmus himself, and he said he's running around like he's an academy player. And I thought, you know what? Roy Keane sometimes talks sense and sometimes doesn't. But what we're asking for from our pundits is something a little bit different. Something a little bit less sensationalist. We can all say good and over the top, or bad and over the top bad things about players and managers. But I expect a little bit more from ex-players who've cleared the game. And what I was disappointed about with Roy Keane on that was that he was saying, you know, like Rasmus was playing like an academy player, and he said these things about Dorgu and Garnacho and other players. Well, could you not just expand on the obvious there, Roy? Like, yeah, they are playing like academy players. Why are they playing every week? Rasmus was brought in at 20 by Ten Hag and has basically played as our only striker for the last 2 years to the age of 22. Dorgu was brought in as Amorim's only signing in January as a 20-year-old from Italy as well, and has been thrown in straight away. There are very big similarities between Rasmus and Dorgu in the sense that they were brought in from a foreign league at 20 years of age and played every bloody week. Garnacho has played a lot of football at 20. Mainu has played a lot of football at 19. Ahmad is still, relatively young when you think about the volume of games he's played. it's all right sitting there and going, oh, he's playing like an academy player, it's not good enough. And on the other hand, talking about Mason Mount, who's in his mid-20s and how he's looking half decent. I'm like, you got it the wrong way round, Roy. You're there going, I can see a good player in Mason Mount if he stays fit. He's 25 and we paid £55 million for him and 250 grand a week. Now, we did pay £70 million for Rasmus and we paid 20-something million pounds for Dorgu, but they're 20. Of course they're going to look like academy players. They basically are at times. You know, the development is shit. And I would expect I'd expect a little bit more from Roy Keane and other pundits in their analysis of young players, considering Roy Keane came to Manchester United when the class of '92 came through and was a massive factor in their development. Paul Scholes, David Beckham did not hit the ground running at 20 years of age in a United side, or even at 22. My reason for mentioning this is that these players are really struggling. We can see it. They're not getting good player ratings. They're getting pelters. But the support network is abysmal, and you've got to look at the ownership of this. You've got to look at people like Barada and Wilcox and say, at the end of the day, what do we expect when our strategy from the top is to pick and buy players who are 18, 19, 20 and throw them straight into the team and expect what? I mean, look at Dorgu over the last few months. We're literally putting him into the team every week, every single week, and chucking him in the deep end and saying swim. We've done it with Garnacho this season. Rashford, Anthony, experienced players loaned out because we don't want them anymore, so we can pick a 20-year-old every week and throw him to the Wolves. As I said with Rasmus, say what you like about him, but when you come to a club at 20, you don't start for Man United every week. You need development, you need an experienced player, you need rotation. Nothing. Just play every week and learn the job. This is a really big thing. And it might not be, it might be way too late for people like Rasmus and Garnacho, and who both could leave in the summer. But I'm worried about the next stage, because the next phase from Wilcox is to keep doing it. And what's the sentence we've always used? The definition of insanity at this football club is doing the same thing over and over again. It's probably too late for the people we've already done it to. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can do a Harry Maguire and find a way through the criticism and build their careers back. But you can't keep bringing in kids, sticking them in the team and going, you're meant to be a good player in the future, just crack on with it. You actually have a job to do in surrounding them with players and nurturing them. And you look at Ahmad last night and he looked the same as Garnacho. You know, it's like head down, running into traffic, shooting. We've seen this from Rashford. We've seen it from Anthony. It's player profile, and we're crying out for experience. I saw Beth saying it last night. Get Cunha, get Mbeumo. You know, if we don't win on Wednesday, we're probably not going to get Mbeumo or Gyökeres. But I tell you now, we're losing games by fine margins. We're not good, but we're losing by fine margins. We're not getting pumped, and we're missing players. Chelsea needed to win last night. They didn't batter us 4-0, and they never looked like they were going to batter us 4-0. We lost 1-0, which makes it more frustrating because it's so fine margins. We can't create anything. We make a mistake at the back. You stick Cunha in that team, you stick Gyökeres in that team, straight away I'd expect to get a point. I'd expect to get a little bit more. And I'm looking at the club and I'm seeing people go after the young players, go after the manager, and I'm like, it's so obvious that every manager we brought in got a significant transfer budget in their first summer. You've got to go and get him the best striker you can get. And if Rasmus goes or Rasmus stays or Delap comes in, at least they've got that striker that they can learn from, work with and be nurtured by. We have to go. It's so obvious to go and get an experienced striker at that football club. And probably an experienced fullback, because we can't rely on Luke Shaw. I mean, we can't just go Dorgu, Amas and Leon, can we? But as I say, get your comments in. No live show this morning because I'm going to a tournament with Seb. Hopefully it'll do well. But I will do a live show when I'm back. But I just wanted to really just discuss the fact that we've got people like going in on Amorim. And I'm like, Amorim out because we lost 1-0 to Chelsea. And he hasn't had a pre-season. And he hasn't... I mean, we just want to make the... I don't get it. And it's just so obvious that it's the Victor Lindelof effect, isn't it? We've got too many players that have been here for too long that people expect new managers to get something out of, and we know they won't. We know this squad is bad. Stop expecting something. All I'm expecting is a one-hit wonder on Wednesday where we turn up, which we can do. Even Amorim said it after the game yesterday. We expect the players to turn up in the final. They can turn up in the final. That's all I expect. That's all I want. And then the rebuild starts in the summer. And I trust Amorim on that rebuild. Take care, everyone. Make sure you get your comments in. Smash a like on the video. I'll speak to you on the next one.